Welcome back to Burger. This is my first reaction video in quite a long time. So today I'm reacting to Chef Gordon Ramsay making the perfect steak. Now, I really dislike it when people use the term perfect for food in any kind of videos because it's just so subjective. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that there are people out there, and probably quite a few people actually, that aren't going to like his method of cooking this steak. And I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know yet, but I'm sure it has a lot of salt in it. Now, I'm just kidding. I always tease Chef Ramsay about using a ton of salt, but you know, he knows a lot about cooking. So we're just gonna jump in and see how he's gonna cook this perfect steak. If he is not using a grill or if he's not using fire, I'm gonna say it's not gonna be the perfect steak. But you never know. He's going to cook a steak, and it looks like he's using hexclad pans because this is on the hexclad channel. Now, I do love my hexclad pans, but let's dive in and let's see how Gordon Ramsay is going to make the perfect steak. He is, of course, clapping his hands. That's just his thing to do. You know what I mean? He claps them. He goes like this, and he says "in" a lot. In the pan, on the pan, whatever. You know, that's just his thing. It's cool. So let's. Oh man, he's got a lot of ingredients sitting in front of him, and it's just kind of, you know, staged, I would say. But you know, it looks pretty. You know, things look good on the camera.
There's nothing better than a perfectly cooked seared steak. So today,
I don't disagree.
I'm going to show you how to get the perfect sear on a steak and top it off with a delicious chimichurri served with mashed potato. First off, get the pan piping hot.
Piping hot.
As you're waiting for that to get up to temperature, make sure your steak...
In one of my more recent videos with the Steak Master series, Chef Jason Finnerty was like, once you think you've got your pan hot enough, wait another 30 seconds. And that is an awesome tip for pan frying a steak to get that perfect sear. Wait another 30 seconds until you see a little bit of smoke, you know?
Steak, I've got a bone-in ribeye. Make sure that's out of the fridge at least 10-15 minutes early. Whilst you're waiting for that...
So 10-15 minutes early. Now, I would say... And this is also, then this is a little bit subjective, but I would say you at least want at least 30 minutes to temper your steak. The more you can temper your steak, the better it's going to cook, and the more evenly it's going to cook, okay? That is not an opinion, that is absolute fact, okay? If you temper your steaks, they will cook better and more evenly.
A really nice season.
Right.
Now,
season a lot.
Be generous on the seasoning because we lose 30% of the seasoning, especially in the searing.
I believe.
So.
Wow.
I like to get this out.
That's actually not as much salt as I expected him to use.
Sear the fat.
I would have actually used probably more.
And sort of press all that seasoning into it. Once that steak's up to temp, now I've got the heat in my pan. I can turn down the gas and start that beautiful sear. Not too crazy.
What oil is he using there?
In, roll it around the seasoning, and always lay away. Always lay away from you. That way we don't...
I learned that the hard way. Lay that steak down towards you and you get some oil on your shirt and hopefully not in your face. So great tip. Don't throw that steak in your face.
Splash or burn ourselves. The steak has got up to room temperature and that caramelization takes place really fast. Turn the gas down.
Oh, he's turning it down again.
I've got the heat in the pan already, as you can see.
Smoking it up.
In there, I'm going to add a little touch of garlic. Again, I don't even have to peel that garlic, just in, half.
See, I don't like eating the paper of the garlic. And now I've definitely had some steaks where, you know, the chef put it in there and it's okay. It's not, doesn't hurt. It just doesn't feel good in your mouth. So that paper feel. So I would just go ahead and peel your garlic and smash it. You can just smash it with your fingers if you want. I mean, it takes what, 5 seconds to peel the paper off of garlic. So not a hard thing to do. Just go ahead and do it. Like it's whatever, you know?
Now the secret here is to be patient, okay?
Yep.
Don't turn that steak until you need to turn it. I've got some fresh thyme in there.
I
to make it
could go
really
along with that,
nice and aromatic. And be generous with those herbs. Because all we're doing
it's interesting that he's throwing the herbs into the pan before he flips it. So this is something that Chef Firestone told me not to do too early on in the cooking process because those herbs are going to burn, especially in what's as hot as a pan as this. So it seems a little early to throw the herbs in, but you know, whatever. He knows more than me.
Now it's imparting that amazing flavor. So
rosemary and thyme.
This out. Turn that over and look at that sear. That crust is beautiful.
It's kind of weak actually.
Now we sear the other side.
Seems to me like he's turning that a little quickly. Now, I would check that sear and make sure that it's more evenly distributed. Another thing that you can do with your steaks as it's turning, don't be afraid to lift it up and let that oil and fat ooze or move underneath the steak and set it back down so that all that oil and fat goes back onto the steak and it goes into that sear to create that Maillard effect. That's another great tip. Like, you can move this steak around. It is okay to move it around. It's still going to create that sear. And in fact, I encourage you to move it around in the pan. Lift the steak up, twist the pan so that the fat and oil rolls underneath the steak and set the steak back down on it. Awesome tip to do.
The temperature of that meat is still quite cold, so when you turn it over, always just turn the gas up a little bit to make sure we concentrate on that beautiful sear. Use your tongs and push down.
Okay,
Take advantage of that beautiful base, that incredible non-stick, and more importantly, the heat
He's just trying to sell a pan right now.
It is so important, especially the sear, and that helps differentiate between.
Now, a little bit about the hexclad pans. I own them. They do not sponsor my channel. They have never reached out to me at all. So, and that's okay. But I have used them to cook steaks in the pan. I have used cast iron to cook steaks in a pan. I would 100% say that cast iron will give you a much better sear, and you don't have to turn your gas up and down because the cast iron is going to hold that residual heat much better. But the hexclad pans hold the heat extremely well, and they do create a very nice sear. It's just cast iron does a little bit better, okay? But hexclad is dishwasher safe. So, take those things into account. If you're cooking a bunch of steaks and you've got a bunch of pans going and you're creating a bunch of dishes, you just throw them right in the dishwasher and walk away. Whereas cast iron takes a little bit more love,
Boiling a steak and searing a steak.
Wait,
look
did
at
you
the
just say you're boiling a steak?
So important, especially the sear, and that helps differentiate between boiling a steak and searing a steak.
Look at the crust on that already. I don't understand.
Once that has beautifully seared on the top, I go back again and just lightly season that. Okay. Fresh salt, fresh pepper.
Now, there are chefs that have made their entire livelihoods on cooking over an open flame and salting throughout the cooking process instead of just like, in the beginning or 2 hours before. Most chefs don't have time to salt their steaks 2 hours before because they're working in a restaurant and they're cooking for mass amounts of people. So salting throughout the cooking process is something that I think they have to do out of necessity, but it does help build up that salt flavor throughout the cooking process. I don't disagree with that at all.
And now, a little touch more oil, just a touch on the top. I'm going to sear the back of that steak now. Use the side of the pan to help tilt the pan.
Definitely.
And I'll sear the back of that steak. That's really important.
See what he's doing now is he's using the side of the pan to help hold the steak in place, but he's also taking the oils and the fats from the steak and pushing them down towards the steak to help sear that side. Now, in my opinion, he should have been doing this all along on the underneath side of the steak. But another tip for you is before you even start searing either side is to cook the steak bone side down first to heat that bone up throughout, because a lot of times you'll get a lot of uneven cooking with a bone-in steak if you don't heat that bone up through. So that's just another tip that you can try, is to do the bone first just to get that heat going on the bone side and then sear either side.
And those beveled parts of this beautiful pan is perfect.
He's selling pans.
For the circumference of that amazing ribeye. Now look, my garlic is roasting. Now I'll go with the butter. And this is where
here comes some butter. That was
you make too many mistakes, where the butter goes in too early.
Okay.
And more importantly, it starts to burn. I'm going to turn down the gas now.
Have to believe those herbs that he put in a while ago are burned.
Pan's worked its magic. Gas goes down, and all I do now is add the butter and baste that beautiful steak.
Yep.
Tilt the pan.
Now, here's something I would have done, and I would encourage you to do, is take those herbs that he put in the pan too soon and put them on top of the steak. And then as you're butter basting, since he put them in, ahead of time, they've already got that herb flavor in the pan. You put them on top of the steak, and then you butter baste over them, and you can get that butter baste on top of the herbs onto the steak, and you'll continually add more of that herb flavor. It's going to be very impactful if you do it that way.
Down and baste. Baste, baste,
Here's
baste.
something too, is don't use a teaspoon to do your butter basting. Get a big ass spoon to do your butter basting, okay? Looks lovely.
I'm going to sit it there, turn the gas right down, okay, and just let it beautifully caramelize and get that nice sear. That is so important. Let that rest, turn the gas off, and then just literally every 2 or 3 minutes, baste it again.
Okay,
Just
so he's
baste.
going to do the slow
Nothing
cook
more,
through.
just baste. And so as that
That's
sits,
interesting.
it's absorbing all that flavor, and more importantly, it's relaxing in that beautiful heated pan.
Yep.
Right, chimichurri. Very simple. Start off with a...
Now, the hexclad pans are also oven safe, so he could have a preheated oven at like 400, 450 degrees and finish it that way instead of turning the heat all the way down. Just take it, chuck it in the oven, done. And then, you know, monitor your temps that way. So, or monitor your temps from there, I mean.
shallot. And this is a really nice rustic
Always prefer a shallot over an onion with a
sauce.
steak.
It's a beautiful sort of wake up for that nice, rich,
Look at him chop that baby up.
incredible, intense flavor. I'm using a shallot. It's a lot sweeter. Red onion is perfect for this as well.
Much stronger.
I don't like to
flavor.
get the sort of the too harsh.
When you cook a shallot or you cook a red onion, like he mentioned, they get so sweet. Like the flavor is so impactful. So if you have a really intense flavored steak, like a bone-in ribeye, that extra intense flavor, sweetness from the red onion and the shallot goes very well together.
Of an onion flavor. I want a really nice sweet shallot. This sort of really nice sauce. In with the shallots.
Okay.
Take your bowl to the shallots.
In. He just
they
likes to
go.
say that. I like it. I like it too.
Now, the base of this chimichurri, I've got some fresh mint.
Oh, mint in the chimichurri. All
I've got
right.
some cilantro.
It's going to be nice and sweet.
And I've got some beautiful oregano. And roll them up like you're rolling a big cigar.
All right. Roll it up.
Just-
Roll it up, Gordon.
Nip it together. Okay, now, I like to slice my herbs once. If we chop
Beautiful
them
knife
too
work.
fine, all the goodness comes out and bleeds on the board. So I go through them with a knife once into my bowl, and the
Yeah,
fragrance
don't over-chop
sits
them.
in the chimichurri.
Absolutely.
But look at my board. You can see how dry my board is. When you over chop herbs on a board, all of a sudden the goodness is on the board, and I want the goodness inside this chimichurri.
That's probably the best tip that he's done through this entire video is right there with the knife work on the herbs is don't bleed out your herbs on your cutting board so they lose all the flavor and you're just eating some leaves basically. You want that goodness that's inside them. That's why they always say to wait until the very end to chop your herbs and put them over your foods or just tear them with your hands to put them on your herbs. Now chimichurri is a bit of a different story. You don't want to tear that with your hands, but wonderful tip.
Chimichurri. From there, a nice season of salt, pepper, and then the garlic.
Huh.
I
He's
don't want
toned
big
down the
shards of
salt
garlic,
today.
so take a microplane and just grate that garlic.
You
what
got to
that
have a
does-
microplane in your kitchen.
You'll see, it just almost purees that garlic.
Yep.
That's what I want. My garlic puree. Take a spoon, take that off.
Just use your finger
that
because
in.
you can smell garlic
that
on your
sort of
fingertips the rest of for the next 2
Disintegrates
days.
and moves away. And literally hides a little touch of smoked paprika,
Nice.
a little touch of red wine vinegar, and then my extra virgin olive oil. Okay.
That
Goes
looks
in.
good.
Let that mix up. Now, we don't want this too oily. Okay, remember, the ribeye steak, it's rich, it's sumptuous. It's everything you want from a steak. Now,
And there's butter in there
mix that
too.
together. And then correct the seasoning and finish that finally with a nice squeeze.
So he's letting that steak basically
that
just
steak
rest in the pan
and
at that
just
low
literally
temperature.
lifts it up.
So is he going
Extra
to
virgin
do a
olive oil
rest or is he just
on
going
top
to
of those
consider
herbs.
that a rest?
And now those herbs are bleeding. Now,
He said
when
don't
it
use too
comes
much
to the
oil, but
canvas,
he just used a lot of oil.
every chef's dream. That's your canvas there. So I've got a beautiful
Wait, what
mashed
did he
potato.
say about every chef's dream?
That is finished with. I've got a beautiful dream. That's your canvas there. So come to the canvas. Every chef's dream. That's your canvas there. So
Why?
I've got a beautiful
Okay.
mashed
I don't
potato.
understand the reference, but
That is finished with grated
of an ugly
goat
plate.
cheese. And just generously pile that on there.
you got to have steak and
then-
taters, right?
Take your spoon. Just make a little well in there. Just a little well.
Now, this is something to really pay attention to when you watch talented chefs, is how they finish things. So even just watching a couple of the chefs that I know like really closely and doing some videos with them, you notice those little finer things, like how they make that well just with the spoon, with one twist, with one swoop of the spoon, instead of just constantly turning like this. It's one motion. Like those tiny little things are the things to take note of and take into your kitchen. You know what I mean? So just watch those little tiny things that he does. It's the tiny things that make the biggest difference in your presentation.
Take a chimichurri and just announce to the mashed potatoes that this chimichurri is coming.
Okay.
And you fill up
It's
this
such a weird thing to say.
of magic. Now for the dream.
Now I like how
always
he put the
to roll my
chimichurri
steak
in the
its
potatoes.
resting
That's
juices.
interesting.
And look at it. That is an absolute slice of heaven.
Yeah,
There's your
it
bone.
looks good. Looks good.
That's your rib cap. That's the rib eye there. So I'm going to slice across, come down into the bone. And look at that.
Oh, no.
Talk about give the dog a bone.
Come on. Now, it's a clean cut, yes. However, that meat that's like right on that edge of the bone on the cap is so good, and I would have rather seen that in the slices than just cutting the bone off so easily. Pull your steak up and cut along the bone and carve it out. Don't just slice it. I don't know. That's just lazy to me.
Your dog will be happy for the next 50 years.
Don't give it to your dog.
If you got to munch on that bone. Beautiful. The ribeye, look at the grain. Slice with it. Don't slice against it.
Here's another.
Don't slice this too thick.
You see how he's slicing at an angle through the steak? It's just one of those presentation things. Then you'll see when he lays the entire steak on those potatoes that it just displays so much nicer. It's those fine things that are really great.
Either. Just about 1.5 centimeters in between. It's rested. I've retained all that beautiful
Nice thick cuts too.
moisture in my steak. And then look, lift that up. I like to put that little sear on top there.
Oh, I see. Here's his
Open that up
plating.
and just sit my steak on top beautifully.
No, wait.
And now,
Why did he?
for the finishing touches, take your
What are you doing with the rest of
chimichurri
it?
and just allow that to start cascading down across that ribeye.
It's a beautiful looking steak.
And look, just
Look at the color of the herbs.
there
See
we
what they
have
do to the steak?
a beautiful
Let me guess. He's not going to try it.
roasted,
Gordon, you got to try your freaking food.
bone-in ribeye with a delicious chimichurri.
Please tell me you're going to
All
try it.
thanks to Hexclad.
But no, you're not. This happens with every single one of his videos. Why doesn't he eat his freaking food? Like, that's so bothersome. Taste your food. I know that you don't want to get oozing down your face or nothing, but that's what people want to see. Am I wrong? Like, tell me in the comments. Am I wrong that I want to see him taste his own food that he cooks and tell us how it tastes? Like, it's not just about the pan. I realize it's on Hexclad's channel and he's being paid by them to do it, but make the video so much better and taste your own food. Anyway, that's Gordon Ramsay's perfect steak. Now, of course, there's some changes. It looks absolutely delicious, and I would eat it. You know what I mean? I was actually surprised about the amount of salt that he used. Usually there's a lot more salt with his videos. So, but the steak looked wonderful. I would have wanted a little bit better of a sear and done things a little bit differently, but that's just cooking. You know what I mean? Like, it looked amazing. I bet it tastes amazing if he would actually have tasted it. But, that's just the way it is. And if you want to see more food reaction videos, hit me up in the comments, click the like button, click the subscribe button. Let me know if there's a video you want me to react to and give my analysis to. That's cool. Let me know in the comments. Let me know by liking and sharing this video. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.